My brother bought mom a car with my college fund. I'm 23 now, but this happened when I was 19. I think about it every single day. Some days it comes back like a bad dream, others like a punch in the stomach while I'm just making coffee or folding laundry. I still haven't told many people, but lately I've been reading stories here, and it's like watching little puzzle pieces of my life fall into other people's stories. I figured maybe it's time to get mine out too. I grew up in what I guess you'd call a good family on the surface. Dad was an accountant, mom stayed home until we were older, then started part-time at the library. I have an older brother, Max, he's 5 years older, always the golden child. Star athlete, student council president, that kind of thing. I was the quiet one, bookish, never really got into trouble. Growing up, our house always looked perfect. Clean, tidy photos of us smiling on every wall. We had family dinners every night, but even as a kid I remember this feeling of tightness, like everyone was always holding their breath. Conversations were polite but clipped, arguments happened behind closed doors, and there was this invisible line between me and the rest of them. I was loved, sure, but not seen, asterisk, if that makes sense. When I was a kid, Max used to tease me. Regular big brother stuff, I guess, but he always had this edge to him, like he enjoyed asterisk seeing me squirm. Once he hid my favorite stuffed animal and told me mom gave it away because I was too old for it. I cried for days before she found it in the attic. She said she didn't know how it got there. I didn't believe her. Still, I told myself it was normal. Some siblings aren't close. Some parents just show love differently. I figured if I kept my head down, worked hard, I'd carve out my space eventually. By high school, Max had already gone to college out of state, on a full ride, no less, and I was busting my ass for scholarships. My dream was to go to the University of Michigan. I wanted to study literature, maybe go into editing or publishing. I had good grades, worked a part-time job, and every time I saw that college fund folder in Dad's filing cabinet, I felt a little flicker of hope. "Don't worry," Mom would say, her hand on my back during college nights. "We've been saving since you were little." I believed her. The first real crack came at Christmas when I was a senior. Max came home in this sleek new Honda Civic, nothing too flashy but brand new. Mom ran outside like a teenager, squealing and clapping. "It's beautiful, I love it." Max handed her the keys like it was a scene out of a commercial. "Merry Christmas, Mom." I thought it was weird. He had a decent job, but nothing that screamed, "Buy your mom a car" money. Dad stood in the doorway, smiling, but he looked tight, not happy, not mad, just strained. I asked Max later, half joking, "Damn baller move, how'd you afford that?" He shrugged, "You'd be surprised what you can do when you budget right." That stuck with me. A few months later, I got into Michigan. I was over the moon. I ran into the kitchen waving the acceptance letter, already dreaming of dorm rooms and poetry classes. Mom smiled, "That's wonderful, sweetheart." Dad gave me a thumbs up from the recliner. Then came the meeting, financial aid time. We sat at the kitchen table, me, Mom, Dad, my heart thudding with excitement. I'd gotten some aid and a couple scholarships, but we needed to cover the rest. I asked about the college fund. Mom glanced at Dad, he cleared his throat. "Well, things are a bit tight right now." I blinked. "Tight how? I thought you'd been saving for years." "We were asterisk," he said, "but some unexpected expenses came up. The roof last year, the furnace, your mom's medical bills." I felt like I'd swallowed ice. "So there's nothing left." Mom smiled, tight, thin. "We can take out a loan and maybe you can work more hours." I couldn't breathe. I didn't say anything right then, I just nodded. But something had shifted. That night I lay awake staring at the ceiling. The roof, we hadn't had any major roof work, and Mom hadn't been sick, not really, just a few checkups. The next few weeks I started noticing things. A statement left out on the kitchen table. A credit card payment from Max addressed to my parents' house. A receipt for car insurance in Mom's name, paid by Max. I started to put things together, slowly but surely. And then I saw it. Dad had gone to bed, Mom was out with friends. I was home alone cleaning up when I remembered the file cabinet. I knew I shouldn't look, but I did. I opened the folder labeled Emma, College. It was mostly empty. Except for one sheet, a withdrawal slip. From 2 years ago, the amount, $14,500. The note in the margin said, "For vehicle purchase M." I sat there on the floor with that slip in my hand for 10 minutes, numb. Max bought Mom a car. With my college fund. I didn't sleep that night or the next. I was so angry I couldn't speak. I wanted to scream, throw something, run away, but mostly I felt stupid. So stupid. When I finally confronted them, it wasn't a big blowout, it was worse. I sat them down in the living room. Did Max use my college fund to buy Mom that car? Silence. Mom looked at Dad, he didn't meet her eyes. Then she sighed, it wasn't like that. I waited. He needed help with the down payment, she said. We chose Asterisk to help him, we figured you'd get scholarships. I was shaking, so you gave away my money, the money you told me was for college for me. Dad finally looked at me. Emma, it's not about the money, Max has always supported this family, you'll land on your feet. I almost laughed. Supported this family, you mean with the job you helped him get, the loans you co-signed, he screws up and gets bailaid out, I work my ass off and get told to figure it out. No one said anything. That was the moment something broke. In them and me, in us. I moved out 2 months later, took out loans, deferred school for a year and worked full-time, I'm still paying for it. We talk now but it's never the same. Every time I hear Max's voice on the phone, all I hear is the sound of that drawer sliding open. That empty folder. The truth inside it. Last weekend, I went through a box I hadn't opened since moving into this apartment. One of those leftover things you tape shut in a hurry and shove into the back of a closet, swearing you'll deal with it later. It was full of old notebooks, birthday cards, loose photos, and a few letters I wrote but never sent. Some of them were addressed to my parents. One was to Max. A couple were just me trying to explain myself to the air. I sat cross-legged on the floor with that box for hours. In one notebook, I found an entry from the week after I found out about the college fund. The writing was messy, almost manic. I kept writing the same line over and over. I don't know who I am to them. It hit me hard. Because that's what it really came down to, isn't it? That core fracture between how I saw myself, daughter, sister, person trying her best, and how they seemed to see me, second place, second thought, always the one who would be fine. I think that's the deepest wound, not just that they took something from me, but that they didn't even hesitate. Even now, if I let myself think too long about it, the anger starts creeping back in. The betrayal has layers, and just when I think I've peeled them all back, there's another one beneath. But I've stopped letting that anger define me. It shows up and I greet it like an old roommate. I say, you again, and then I go on with my day. I don't feed it, I don't build a house for it, I just let it pass through. That's what healing has become, a long process of learning how to sit next to my pain without letting it drive. There are days I still feel like that 17-year-old girl in the kitchen, watching the people she loved turn into strangers. But there are also days when I look in the mirror and see someone I genuinely like. Someone who held herself together when it would have been easier to fall apart. Someone honest, someone real. I don't idealize honesty like I used to. It's not always clean or comforting. It doesn't fix everything. Sometimes it makes things messier, lonelier, but it does clear the fog. And in the clarity, I've started to see more of the people around me, the good ones, the ones who show up without fanfare. Like Megan, a friend I met through work. A few weeks ago, I told her the whole story, not the sanitized version, the real one, and she didn't look uncomfortable. She didn't try to change the subject, she just listened. At the end, she said, "That's awful, and I'm really proud of you for surviving it." Surviving, that word stayed with me. Because survival isn't passive, it's not just continuing to breathe, it's choosing every day not to go numb, it's doing the work to understand yourself even when it hurts. It's refusing to become the version of you that bitterness tries to build. Max texted me again a few days ago, just a simple message. Still here, still thinking about everything, no pressure ever, just I miss you. I stared at it for a long time. I haven't replied yet. Not because I'm angry, but because I'm still figuring out who I am around him now. We used to have a rhythm, one that involved me being the quiet one, the one who made space. Now that I've stepped out of that role, I don't know what's left between us. Maybe something, maybe nothing. I think he's trying, I believe that. But the trying has to happen without expectation, without a clock, without the assumption that forgiveness is a right. I don't owe anyone my peace. But I do owe it to myself to protect it. I used to think growing up meant getting over things, letting them roll off your back, but I don't believe that anymore. Growing up is letting it change you, letting it sharpen the edges of your clarity even if it means some people don't recognize you anymore. Sometimes I wonder if my parents talk about me now with more honesty, if they say my name with regret, if they've ever sat in that old kitchen and wished they could go back. But that's not my responsibility. Their remorse or lack of it won't determine the shape of my life anymore. I've started sketching again, just little things, plants on the windowsill, a bowl of pears. I do it at night when the city is quiet and the only sound is the hum of my fridge. It's a small joy, a thing I do just for myself, no audience, no approval needed. There's something sacred about that. For the first time, I don't feel like I'm waiting for an apology, a reckoning, a breakthrough. I'm just living, slowly, fully, honestly. I don't know what's next. I don't have a tidy bow to tie this up with. But I can tell you this. When I picture my future now, I don't see the wreckage anymore. I see space. I see light. I see myself standing in it, whole, not because someone gave me back what they took, but because I built something new out of the pieces they left behind. And in that there's hope, not the shiny storybook kind, but the real kind, the kind that grows quietly. Like spring breaking through frozen ground. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough.